Hey there everyone, it's AJ, and in today's video I'm going to be redrawing this. I posted it on my Instagram page a few weeks ago or months ago now, I can't remember, and this was actually one of my oldest and first pieces that I did back when I was in college and beginning to draw the characters that I was writing about. This is actually Lily, which I have just purely copied a thing that I got off Google for that. And I think that I would like to redraw this and do this in the sort of style of, I've based it on the things that I've learned in the past. I mean, it's not a bad piece, but the trees could be better, the leaves and the rocks and the composition and basically everything could be better about it, okay? So yeah, that's what I'm going to do in this video. I'm going to go do this and go through some of the things that I've learned over the course of my time doing art and things. Let's begin. So let's first talk about the elephant in the room. How it is very clear that this video starts, or at least the art portion of this video, at the already sketched out phase. I forgot to hit record. It was only 5 minutes or so of actual drawing that was missed, but it was, like, for me, one of the most important parts of it because it was where I dealt with some of the major issues that were originally part of the piece. I could have just started again, but I felt as though I did a really good job with the initial sort of sketch that I decided that I was going to just move on, but I'm going to talk about it in this little bit now with this. So let's begin. As you can see, I decluttered a lot of the initial sort of concept that I had before. Last time when I did this, which I will probably throw up in the corner of the video. I mean, you can actually kind of see it anyway in the footage, but I kind of had a lot going on. There wasn't very much sort of void of space and things, and I've learned through various things that just as the subject or things that are in the image are important, so is that space where there is just nothing there, so like no value or anything like that. Obviously, when it comes to shading, there are obviously sort of shades, but what I mean is actual object type stuff. So this is where I've now started to really sort of get a rough idea of how I want to go with that. So, for example, grass. If I'm portraying grass now, rather than doing every single blade of grass, I'll do shades of grass. I'll like just sort of almost what you would see if you were to blur up a photograph just to get the initial shapes after maybe doing it black and white or something. That's sort of what I mean by that. But I really wanted to focus on the composition here. Somewhere in my mind, when I did the original piece, it was very clear that I had some concept of the rule of thirds and like the clusters of threes and things. I mean, granted, I did clusters of threes everywhere. So, for example, the trees and the rocks in front of the trees and that sort of thing. So I got the sort of idea of threes. I don't know how I got that. I might have just seen that on various images throughout my years of doing art in high school and stuff. But there was that sort of element there already, which now that I've looked back on it and I can reflect, I totally know what that sort of thing means. But I also know how to really capitalize on that. So, for example, when you think about threes and stuff, in my new one that I've done, you can see that in the foreground there are 3 trees, but 2 of them are sort of together, and then the other one is on the other side, just providing a bit of balance along with the character. And that moves on to the rule of thirds as well, which is another thing that I have learned over the course of my time doing art in the last 5 years or so, and that is, rather than having everything dead center and stuff, sort of like blocking it off in thirds. So as you will see here, I've got Lily and the tree, which are the main, and the little rock thing that she seems to be having some sort of engagement with. I'm going to talk about the rock thing at another point, because I'm going to talk about the subject as well. And she is sort of there, but she's not directly in the center, and it kind of draws your eye to the center. So I'm moving my hands, but again, you can't see my hands. I do this all the time. Whenever I'm doing these voiceovers, I'm always moving my hands, but you can't see what I'm actually doing, apart from obviously on the screen. But whilst I'm doing the voiceover, you can't see that. You just hear my voice. But yeah, tangent over. So the way I've done that, it kind of like zooms in. You see the character, and you zoom into that. Now, with this character, she's actually up against a creature that is kind of it's I mean, I wouldn't even know. I mean, to be fair, in the story now, she doesn't really go up against this creature. She might do in the future, I'm not sure. I've not actually finished the story yet. But this was originally like early on in the story, where she was in woods, and she encountered something what I called a moss rock, which at the time was just a rock with moss on it, which isn't very imaginative, I know. But this time I thought I would give this like creature thing, whatever it is that she, a bit more features. So as you can see, I kind of like developed something, but that is more in the center of the image. But the eyes are drawing you to it because normally you would look at the character first and then go to the sort of whatever else is in there. So that is sort of where I was going with that. Same with the trees in the background. So as you can see, I had trees in the background before, but they were very similar, if not basically the same pretty much as the trees in the foreground. And this is another thing that I've learned over the years. So the trees that I've put in the foreground this time round, they have got more of the detail, whereas the trees in the background, I've just purely used shading to add a bit of sort of definition to them and just make them like sort of almost push them back into the background, which is stuff that I've learned over the course of the 5 or so years that I've been doing this now. But again, with the shade, I kind of like wanted to sort of have that sort of eeriness to it, and that's sort of where I've gone there. Same with the sort of rock formation. So on the left hand side of the original image, that is all meant to be rock, which it doesn't register as anything really. It's kind of just a big mess of nothing. It kind of just lines and stuff, and it's very, very obvious. I hadn't seen a rock in a while, apparently. But then with the other one, I kind of like had this idea. I kind of went a bit weird with the shading, and I probably will need to go back up and touch it up a little bit if I was to go back and do it again. But I managed to do the rocks this time, and it's not too sort of overpowering. It doesn't make Lily blur into the sort of thing. She stands out, and you can tell that she's there in the front, engaging with this creature. And then that brings me to the sort of foreground tree and the rest of the thing. That's where I kind of like did the sort of dark bit, just to add a bit of a frame to it, and give it that more definition for that there. I really actually enjoyed making this piece, and it made me learn just how much I've learned just how much I've learned. Apparently I can't English. I'm meant to be a writer, but you know, mind you, I am kind of just doing this sort of thing off the hoof, so you'll have to bear with me. I am going to spend the next couple of weeks, I think, sort of taking a step back and looking at light. I think I need to study up on light and shadow, because I'm finding that that's kind of holding me back at the moment, and it's something that I really need to get better at as an artist. I don't think I do too badly. I kind of know roughly what I've got to do, but I don't think I know enough really to warrant sort of me being called anywhere sort of decent an artist at the moment. Just some finishing little things on this then. At the end of it, I decided, because I wanted to kind of stick true a bit to the original, which is why I added the sort of glowy effect around there by erasing some of the detail and also some of the harsher lines which you see towards the end. I erased some of the harsher lines of Lily just to kind of like give that sort of glow effect, and that's why her hair in the story is jet black, but I wanted that to be really intense, sort of light, so that's why it kind of a bit more washed out. And then I tried to do some sort of like tendrily things coming out of her hand towards the moss rot, but that I'm not sure how that went. With regards to actually drawing Lily, I was actually pleasantly surprised how easily that came to me. I kind of just got the form relatively well, and I think that's my study paying off that I've been doing over the past few months of doing anatomy and stuff, and I just feel as though I really sort of managed to define her. I mean, I initially started off a little bit too large with her, but then I managed to like bring her in a little bit, and I'm actually really quite happy with that. The thing is, the story now is completely different to this sort of scene, so she doesn't necessarily wear the clothes that she's wearing at the moment. I don't want to go into too much detail because I don't want to spoil it, but yeah. So that is it really for this. I'm really happy with the exercise, and I'm glad that I did it. It's something that I've been looking at, thinking of doing for a good couple of years now, just seeing that on there. And this is like my oldest piece of art that I've actually got, and I don't know where my other stuff is and things. Just one mention, the leaves, I know the tops of the trees aren't the greatest, but that just shows still where I'm lacking in certain areas, so I'm going to go back and really focus on those sort of things as well. So thank you for watching this video. I really do hope you enjoyed. Please remember to hit the like button and also subscribe if you haven't done so already. I'm so close to 100 subscribers. I'm actually 4 away, and it will be amazing if you can do that and get me there. So if you haven't already and you want to listen to me talk more, apparently butcher the English language as well, hit the subscribe button and the bell notification as well. Please leave a comment and tell me what you thought of the video too, and also head over to my Instagram page where I post regularly each week some nice pictures of what I've been doing and what I've done in the past, because that's what I did with this one. I put it up and I thought, do you know what, actually I'm going to redraw this and do that. So what I'm going to say is, until next time, I'll see you later.